Oh my god, 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 oh my god. I just top decked the fourth piece of Exodia. I just top decked the fourth piece of Exodia, and now we're gonna add the fifth piece, and let's go. Oh man, I can't wait till you guys see this game. This is the first time I ever won off Exodia, by the way. Not even playing a quote-unquote real Exodia deck. Man, Konami really kept me busy this month, making me make all those videos on the new cards and the events and stuff. But I did finally find some time to grind to Master 1. Well, grind being a bit of a strong word because apparently, I mean, look at this. This is last 20 games. What is this 2 loss streak? Get this 2 loss streak out of here. So yeah, we went 4 losses. We went 16-4 in the last 20 games. It was really not much of a grind at all. It was more like I was bringing a hydrogen bomb to a bunch of coughing babies, which, you know, it's a bit late in the season, so I guess that's fair. But, you know, don't just take my results for it. You know, check out what other people are doing with this deck. The Exodia is the second most played deck in Master Duel right now, but only behind Snake Eyes, Azamina, Fiendsmith. It's more played than Tenpai, it's more played than Yubel, it's more played than any other Fiendsmith or Azamina deck, and it's doing really well. It's just like, this is something I totally did not expect. This is something that I bet majority of people did not expect, especially because prior to this deck even getting released, or like the ban list that this deck got released in, we had this card called Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Wait, did I not save the filter? Okay, Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Okay, this card got banned. This is imagine if this card was still legal. We could be talking about Millennium Exodia being the best deck in Master Duel. The month that Snake Eyes Fiendsmith, the month that Fiendsmith and Azamina cards got released. Because this deck has been doing extremely well everywhere in rating duels, tournaments, like so on and so forth. But I've never had such an easy climb to Master 1 with any deck that I've had with Exodia. I played this deck for science because normally this is not the kind of deck that interests me. I promise you, I don't get a kick. I don't get that much of a rise out of floodgating my opponent like this, or like playing a deck that synergizes very well with Floodgate and so on and so forth. But I had to play this deck for science, just to see why this deck was so good. And I don't think I have the complete answer yet, because I'm still kind of flabbergasted at how well it performed. But the gist of it is, this deck feels like if you took the best parts of a mid-range deck and the best parts of a stun deck and put them together in one deck. So this deck is, first of all, extremely consistent. You can see I'm running 49 cards because this deck can get away with it, because this deck has 18 one-card starters, essentially. I'm not going to really explain what all of these cards do in depth, because I'm pretty sure most people knows what these cards do by now. If you've played either of the events, you've probably seen this deck. This card searches. This card special summon itself searches. This special summon itself searches. This can search any of these, and including Sengenjin, and then Sengenjin can search this, and then this searches Ankh, and then Ankh summons Unstoppable Exodia, and then that's the main thing. You have 18 ways to get the Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate, and Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate is a spell trap negate, and then it sets Exod Fires of Rage, which is a trap card board wipe that destroys all your opponent's cards. What I like to call this is like Salad Mangrade with less steps. We'll say extremely less steps. Instead of taking like a 5-10 minute combo and link something like 20 plus times and so on and so forth, you get to the same end board that Salad Mangrade does, which is a negate and a board wipe off of just activating one card. And in Master Duel, less is more, because when you only have to summon one time to get to your full end board, the don't open yourselves up to being weak to hand traps. You know, stuff like Maxi. Let's just look at these hand traps here that I'm playing. Maxi, Droll, Fualos, all of those stuff that normally kills a lot of combo decks. This directly hampers a lot of combos. These cards, these hand traps, generally don't do anything against you. They like what Droll. What are you gonna draw? Like I search one time. You most of the time anyways. Droll is handling for one. Ash, what are you gonna Ash? There's 18 one-card starters. You can only Ash one of them. Like there's chances are the Ash is also a hand loop for one, and I'm just gonna be able to get to the top and solve Exodia anyways. Retaliating Sea, lol. Fualos, nice upstart goblin. Maxi, nice upstart goblin 90% of the time. So yeah. This deck is super resilient to all the hand traps that people are running to try and stop the Fiendsmith Azamina decks, because that's the most popular way people are trying to stop these decks, is by running a ton of hand traps, including all the targeted ones, you know, like Fualos in a best of one format, Retaliating Sea for the Azamina cards, and Droll because Droll has potential to high roll and do something. Like imagine if you open a hand of all the hand traps that I'm running in this deck, for example. Let's say you open Ash, Retaliating Sea, Droll, plus Fualos. You're playing against Fiends, Azamina, and Snake Eyes. You're thinking you're good, right? But then you queue up against Exodia, and then you really realize you have 3 dead cards in the hand plus 1 of Upstart Goblin. It's very, it's a very, very nice non-engine you have there. Very, very, very effective. But the non-engine that Exodia runs against you is going to be way more effective than whatever hand trap non-engine you're going to be running against it. And also, because this deck has so many one-card starters and because it's so consistent, you also can run all of these non-engines as well. You see, this deck actually has a room, quote-unquote room. I'm running over 49 cards, but I am still running 15 hand traps, including all the high-impact hand traps, including Droll, Retaliating Sea, Shifter, Fualos, Maxi, all that stuff, plus 3 Super Poly. So that's 18 non-engine, as well as 18 starters, and the reason, we want to actually run more than 40 cards is because the one downside with this deck, the one most major problem with this deck is the fact that you have to run 5 bricks minimum. Well, in fact, you're probably running 7 to 8 bricks, actually, because Azur's statue is not really something you want to draw. You'd rather just get it for free off Silver Hat Rabbit, and Exodia is a free set, so you don't want to draw these either. So you're running 8 bricks, which is why I do think that you do want to run more than 40 cards so you can dilute the chance of drawing bricks. And it's not like this deck needs to see any individual card that badly, besides maybe the Floodgates, but I mean, you could make up for a bigger deck count by just running more Floodgates forehead, right? It's all about diluting the amount of bricks you're trying to draw in your opening hand. And because, like, again, every engine piece gets to every other engine piece, essentially. It doesn't matter which one you hard draw most of the time, you will still get the Ankh anyways. And yeah, unless you happen to be a god and open all and draw all 5 pieces of Exodia, then that's fine. But for us mere mortals, you probably don't want to draw too many Exodia pieces. And honestly, your end board is fairly respectable even for like a lower ceiling deck like this one, since you just need 2 monsters, 2 bodies, so like basically either Golem or Wedgie Temple or Sank Engine or literally any Millennium monster, like Shield of the Millennium, plus any hand trap. You can just literally normal summon a hand trap to make a Silver Hat Rabbit, and then your end board is going to be an Azrune statue, which is a Solemn Warning, or a Solemn Warning for Inherit Summon, so it's like a Thunder King Ryle or something like that. It's a special summon negate, a spell and trap negate, plus a board wipe. And you don't get any other monster in the field because when Ankh resolves, it shuffles all your other non-Millennium monsters and non-Exodia monsters back into the deck. That's why Silver Hat Rabbit is the one end board piece or the one link monster you can run, because Silver Hat Rabbit sets the Azrune statue, and the Azrune statue doesn't get shuffled back since it's a trap card and not a monster yet. So it's like 3 solid interruptions for like basically a 1.5 card combo that always resolves, by the way, because again, this deck being resilient to hand traps, so like you're always gonna get at least this no matter what your opponent's hands, pretty much. Like I don't think I ever, going first, I don't think I ever didn't end on an Exodia, at least. So yeah, and then the stun part of the deck comes in, where besides the stun part of the deck being not really affected by a bunch of non-engineer opponent runs, like all the hand traps being bad against traditional stun decks, that applies to this deck, obviously, but also the synergy with the floodgates, baby, because what do you do when your deck is lower powered? You play floodgates, baby, and yeah, did you have the fact that this is more scary? These floodgates are more scary in Exodia than a traditional stun deck because of the Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Imagine if a normal stun deck, instead of ending on a Fossil Dyna, Pachycephalo, ended on a Spell Trap Negate that protected all your floodgates, plus a board wipe that protected all your floodgates. Okay, in my opinion, an Unstoppable Exodia plus a board wipe is much scarier than a 1200 attack monster that gets beat over by most normal summons, including normal summon Retaliating Sea, by the way. And yeah, the fact that you have all the protection for all your back row is kind of disgusting. It's like your opponent draws the. It doesn't matter if your opponent draws the out; they have to draw multiple outs to all your BS, including Super Poly. Super Poly is also just. But by the way, this is like just this rant on Super Poly, but this card. People say you need it for going second and yada yada yada. This card is way more impressive going first than it is going second. It is so much stronger going first and set as a trap card than it is as a board breaker. As a board breaker, this is like above average. Well, I'll say that. It definitely helps, but it doesn't break boards, especially not the boards that are currently exist just by itself. You have to do more than just sap a Super Poly. Meanwhile, Super Poly on two random monsters your opponent. Two important monsters your opponent summons just ends their turn, and they can't even respond to it. It's stupid. This is basically like this is like another Exod that you have access to if you hard draw into it. So you have like two board wipes if you go first. And yeah, it's surprisingly. I know the end board I mentioned didn't seem that impressive, but when you combine the board wipe plus the negate as a protection for all your floodgates, plus a summon negate, plus the fact that this deck has more non-engine than it has actual engine. So you still have all of these potential. You either draw into a floodgate or you draw into a high impact hand trap that's still very strong in this format. I know Droll and Maxi conflict with Dimensional Fissure and all that, but if you have Dimensional Fissure plus your end board, I think you're fine anyway. So either you have the Dimensional Fissure, which it's just gonna floodgate your opponent, or you don't have the Dimensional Fissure, but then you have all of these hand traps to still be used on your opponent like you would a normal mid-range deck, except you have a real board on top of it too. This deck is surprisingly has a deceptively strong end board to try and play into, which maybe it's not on the same level as something like a full Snake Eyes Fiendsmith Azamina end board, but it honestly does not feel too far off, especially again if you draw any of these bomb non-engines, which you run a lot of along with your end board. But what also makes this deck very underratedly strong and way better than a lot of other decks that you see run all of these floodgates and all of these cards that generally aren't that good going second, is that this deck is actually very good at going second, surprisingly. That was one of the biggest things I noticed when playing this deck, was its ability to go second. And I don't just mean because of all the non-engine this deck runs, which this deck definitely can run, and this definitely does help, but there are plenty of Exodia decks out there that don't run this many non-engine and run a smaller card count and run a more average amount of non-engine. Instead of the 18 going second cards I'm running here, they run maybe 12 or less, and they can still get away with it because these Millennium cards are crazy good for pushing into boards because these are all free special summons essentially. So you can summon up to 3 different monsters for free that, just the free special summons don't take up your normal summon. You don't need your normal summon at all, so you can also feel free to normal summon any old hand trap. It doesn't cost you anything because you weren't going to use your normal summon on anything anyways. And then suddenly you get to play with up to 4 link materials into your opponent's board before you even have to commit your Ankh. And Ankh, if you resolve Ankh, it's super strong because it trades with their spell and trap. So if they have something like an imperm left, that imperm's not going to do anything. And then it also Exodia runs over literally any monster in the entire game because when you go second, you don't lose any life points, so you're gonna have anywhere from 6 to 8k attack on this Exodia, and then after, if it gets to the end phase and your opponent still somehow lives, then you get to set the Exodia and you get to clear entire opponent's board after making your push with all of your Millennium monsters. Like, people are dead ass running these cards in Snake Eyes, Fiendsmith, Azamina decks just as extra bodies because these cards are so good at pushing through boards. And a lot of times, this is something that I do quite a bit because people aren't expecting it right now, but the white women jump scare is real. This card is insanely broken in this deck for playing the board because it takes 5 link material, which you can easily achieve 5 link material because 3 of the link material you get are literally free, and then the 4th link material you can get is just normal summoning any old hand trap, and then your opponent, nobody sees this coming. Okay, this card has not seen very much play at all recently. You catch a lot of people off guard, and if you stick this card is insanely broken play into a board because it negates the effects of all your face and monster your opponent controls, and it's unaffected by most of your opponent's monster effects, besides the ones that target it. So what that means is that if you get this out, their Appaloosa doesn't do anything to this because it doesn't target it. Their Desiree does not do anything to this, cannot negate this. Their Ilia Sylvia cannot negate this, so their entire board gets negated. They have a Briefing Princess in the grave. That also doesn't work because this can negate special summons from the grave, so they can negate the Briefing Princess from special summoning out. Like, people get caught off guard by this so often, and it's so good going into this, breaking your opponent's board, negating all their effects, and then summoning your Ankh after all their entire board is negated into an Exodia, attack into something. If they had a 0 attack Appaloosa, it's just game right there because their Appaloosa got negated by the Underworld Goddess, and then their 0 attack Appaloosa versus the 8k unstoppable Exodia is 8k damage, obviously. But even if you don't, if it's not game, I mean, like, what are they gonna do, right? You attack over something, then you set this, and you're gonna wipe the entire board next turn. Your entire board's negated. You actually just broke their board straight up with just with just engine. I've broken a bunch of boards of just drawing a bunch of Millennium cards before without any non-engine, and except for except for the hand trap that I top deck for turn that I wish I had the previous turn, but instead I just normal summoned it instead. And also I've used a ton of my opponent's Link 2 monsters as for the white woman jump scare as well. I especially, my favorite is when they have an IP on board and I use their IP to make my own Underworld Goddess. So now my Underworld Goddess has the IP protection from their IP on top of negating their entire board. It's like actually pretty insane. And obviously you don't have it's not just Underworld Goddess or bust. Like, it's not just the white woman. You also have the SP Little Knight, but obviously, and you can play into board and stuff like that. And like the Unstoppable Exodia, again, is insanely good for playing into boards. Not even counting the non-engine you have, let's just there's a Super Poly and all of the room for the Super Poly targets you have in the world. And yeah, so basically, I guess to go over the deck real quickly. So the 18 Millennium cards I think are pretty self-explanatory. You don't really need to explain much on this. You have 3 Millennium Shield, 3 Golem. By the way, Golem, note the first line of text on this card. The activation of your Millennium Ankh can't be negated. So sometimes your opponent just won't read the literal first line of text on this card. I know Yu-Gi-Oh players aren't reading, and then they'll try to negate your Millennium Ankh, which is like cool. If you can catch your opponent off that, you just win the game off that, because they're like, what in the hell just fucking happened? Like they try to Ilia Sylvia the Ankh for some reason, and then it's like, okay, cool. Anyway, summon Exodia anyways. But yeah, you have Sang Engine, 3 Sang Engine, 3 Heart of the Blue Eyes. This destroys the mirror match. This is why the mirror match sucks ass, and why whoever goes first in the mirror match wins most of the time, because Heart of the Blue Eyes just checks any Exodia your opponent summons. They summon the Exodia, you don't care if they use Ankh. Like, let them resolve Ankh. They can't summon any more for the rest of the turn, and then you just send their Blue Eyes to the grave with your Heart of Blue Eyes. Or they just send their Exodia to the grave with Heart of Blue Eyes. And literally the game is over right then on the spot. So, yeah, the terrible mirror match. Hopefully you don't play too many mirror matches against this deck, because that's truly awful. And 3 Wedju Temple and 3 Millennium. These are pretty self-explanatory. And then the non-engine I chose 3 Maxi, and then I'm just choosing all the turn-ending hand traps. So like all the high-impact hand traps: Fua Loss, Retaliating C, Duel Lockbird, Maxi, Shifter, obviously, and then so you don't mind drawing Fool Loss that often because again your turn 1 board is often gonna have a Silo Hat Rabbit, so you can literally just normal summon the Fool Loss and then link it off to Silo Hat Rabbit. If it's dead in your hand and you went first, it's fine. You'd rather have this going second than like not have it going second, you know? And yeah, Droll has some people, if you don't play around Droll, you get wrecked. If you don't play around Retaliating C, you also get wrecked. And there are some funny decks that get wrecked by this card besides just the Azamina decks, but you know, you might see one in the replay later. And yeah, that being said, a lot of decks don't run this many hand traps because they don't care that much about going second. You know, with me running all of these hand traps, my going second win rate was insane. I was like over 65% as a going second win rate when I would love having a 60% win rate just normally with any deck, but the fact that that was my win rate going second was actually crazy. But if you don't want to run all of these hand traps, you know, you could run other stuff. You could run all these other wonderful floodgates, like Macro Cosmos, like Deck Lockdown, like Rivalry of the Warlords, baby. Hell yeah, more like I know Rivalry, it seems weird, it conflicts, but you're only gonna have one Exodia as your end board monster most of the time, especially if you go for Rabbit. So then you Rivalry after you, and then you know it doesn't matter that you can't summon more Exodia monsters after or Millennium monsters after, because chances are it's gonna hurt your opponent more than it hurts you most of the time. Unless you're playing U-Bell, but if you're playing U-Bell, just don't flip this against them, a forehead. So, yeah, speaking of floodgates, well, besides Super Poly, I'll get to the Super Poly targets when we get to the extra deck, but the D-Fisher, Anti-Spell, and there can be only one. These are the Azure Rune for the Silo Hat Rabbit, but these are the best floodgates, in my opinion. We're gonna have a discussion on the optimal floodgates to run, but there can be only one does not hurt your deck at all. So, you know, why not run it, I suppose? Like, it's not actually the best floodgate right now, because it's not the best against Snake Eyes, Azamina, Fiendsmith, since, you know, they actually do run quite a bit of different types. And it's not good in the mirror match, obviously, which is the second most played deck. But against everything else, this card solos, so it's still pretty good to run. And then Anti-Spell, the auto win should be banned. You open this card going first, you auto win the game. It's just that it's unfair. I mean, yeah, Anti-Spell. And then Triple Dimensional Fissure, I think, is the next best floodgate, since this is the one floodgate that has utility. It has the most utility going second, which is not much, but it's still something, and it's the best going first, because if you have this, it basically means that you'll never get the only two hand traps that can ever affect you are like potentially Droll if you have a weak hand, which, you know, most of the time the Droll doesn't matter, so like that's not really a big deal. But the main thing is Valor. Valor is kind of high impact because they can Valor your Exodia and then you don't get the Exod, and then you don't get the board wipe on your opponent's turn, this is the best interruption of the deck. But if you have Thief Fisher, well, they can't Valor you, so good luck with that. You're guaranteed to get the Exod if you have a Dimension Fisher, pretty much. And then going second, a lot of times you can't ODK your opponent, but you will be able to break some of their board and get into a grind game. And having Dimension Fisher going second ruins their grind game, because if they have stuff like Flamebird out, and if they have stuff like Desiree and all of that stuff, and all their fiends, and like a Ilia Sylvia and like an Azamina fusion out and all that stuff, you activate D-Fisher, they either have to use one of their negates on the D-Fisher, like their Desiree, or their grind game is completely ruined, because you get rid of their field, and then their Flambirds doesn't float, their Prince, so if they use Princess, you know, their Flambirds is gone forever, they don't get their Snake Eyes monsters back, you don't get to recycle your Desiree because it gets banished. The Desiree also has a graveyard effect, which sends if it's sent to the grave, but obviously that doesn't trigger if it's not sent to the grave with D-Fisher up. Their Ilia Sylvia, if their Ilia Sylvia gets tributed while D-Fisher's on the field, then they can't add it back with a Hallowed Azamina because it's banished. So like this, if you can get it to turn 3 and one of your cards is Dimension Fisher, you can actually get into a grind game and actually come out on top. Whereas something like a Macro Cosmos, which is completely dead if you go second, it's pretty much not going to help you survive into turn 3. Also, random note, Azurune Statue, I know it's treated as a monster, but you can tribute Azurune Statue under Dimension Fisher, because this is still technically a trap card. So you can still send this to graveyard for cost, even when it's a monster, to negate a special summon. Whereas you cannot use Adrenal Statue under Macrocosmos or like Shifter. But yeah, that's just like a slight thing. That doesn't really matter that much, because chances are if you have Macrocosmos up, you're probably in a good position anyway, so you probably don't even need the Adrenal Statue, but it's just something to note. And for the extra deck, so the links, well, Typhon, because, you know, why not? This deck's not like, this deck's extra deck is that tight. You need one Almirage, one Nightmare Phoenix, I think is the best link too, besides SP Little Knight, but SP Little Knight, sometimes you want to attack for game on an open field, so sometimes you don't go for this, but you need the Almirage for all the hand traps to make the SP have a banish on summon. You have the Scylla Hat Rabbit to get the Adrenal Statue, and the White Woman obviously is very good going second. So at one point I considered Moon of the Closed Heaven. I considered playing Moon of the Closed Heaven for its intended effect. That's right, target our opponent's face-up monster and use their monster to make my White Woman. Unfortunately, like, honestly, the best part of White Woman is that this is a jump scare. Your opponent doesn't see this coming. So the fact that if I go Moon to Close Heaven and I use this effect, then they're gonna know that I've actually tried to make White Women in the first place, and then they play around it, and then they try to use all their interruptions and try to get rid of monsters on the field. When before sometimes they would just let it go, and then this card is best when they don't expect it and they just let all their interruptions sit, and then I can make this and then negate all their interruptions before they get a chance to use them. The fact that going to this telegraphs. The fact that Moon of the Closed Heavens intended effect telegraphs the White Woman coming in kind of ruins the surprise completely, and actually makes this less effective. Like, unironically, using the White Girl makes the White Woman worse. So, yeah, thanks Obama. But, yeah, then we have 3 Ensemble Exodia. You need 3 of this. Cashier Unicorn to see in play. If you only run 2 of this and you hand trap your opponent while they have a Cashier Unicorn on the field, you're gonna lose both your Exodias. Unless you hard open on, which is really bad. Whereas if you have 3, chances are they won't even unicorn one of your Exodias anyway, because they'll be like, what's the point? You have 3 anyways. But yeah, and then in grind games, 3 comes up, especially again in games where Cashier Unicorn gets multiple extra deck rips, which it definitely will a lot of times. If you only had 2, you're gone. Whereas if you have 3, you can still play the game after. This is like your entire deck. And then the rest is just random Super Poly targets plus Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. You can summon this. All of your Millennium monsters put themselves in the spell and trap zone, so you can easily summon this, and then it's just like a free monster. It's also a Super Poly target, although it's not that great because it takes a Snake Eye monster plus an Illusion monster, and like generally the Snake Eye monsters aren't really worth Super Polying. And then you have like Mudragon, Garura, Earth Golem, Adagnister, Predapant, Dragostapelia, and this random thing that I have no idea how to pronounce, and I don't think anybody has ever said this card's name out loud. But the idea is the Snake Eyes end board with the Ilia Sylvia plus Desiree. So Ilia Sylvia is an illusion monster. The Azamina Ilia Sylvia, and then the Desiree is a fiend. So how this works is, for example, you Super Poly the Desiree and the Ilia Sylvia away, and then you make this, and then you use this card to target your one of your opponent's cards. Say your opponent's like Appaloosa, for example. Then, if your opponent wants to negate this with Appaloosa, they cannot trigger their Desiree effect in grave because of how the way the chain link works. Goddamn, learn how to spell, dude. Because of the way the chain link works, you are the turn player, your optional effect is chain link 1, your opponent's optional effects are chain link 2. So if they want to use Desiree, then they are chain blocking themselves from being able to negate this with Appaloosa. So if they want to negate with Appaloosa, then they can't use Desiree to send. But if they use Desiree to send this card, to send this monster to grave, then they lose their Appaloosa, because then this will send their Appaloosa to the grave. So it's a kind of a theoretical thing, could be good for breaking boards. Again, I've never done that. Like the situation where this came up, this just doesn't happen that often. So maybe you could run a more generic card in this slot because I've never made this. But in theory, it's okay. And yeah, speaking of that, in that theory, I know you want to see some quality gameplay with this deck. So we're gonna start off with a classic duel. So this hand is pretty, honestly, not fantastic. And I use Shield of Millennium, reveal Ankh to just get a second Ankh. Honestly, arguably you shouldn't even do this because this plays into Max E. You give your opponent an extra draw off Max E if they do have the Max E, so maybe that was not smart. This hand kind of sucks anyway because it contains two pieces of Exodia, which is, this isn't a normal Exodia deck. You don't want to see these in hand. This is that's not the win condition we're going for. But we do have the Fool Loss, but the Fool Loss is not bad to draw because we can still normal summon it and then go into Scylla Hat Rabbit, and the Scylla Hat Rabbit gets Imperm because I guess, you know, they don't want to save Imperm for their turn, so they want to prevent the Astron statue, which is fair. And now we're gonna Ankh, and then Ankh, reveal 3 in deck and 2 pieces in my hand. Unfortunately, my opponent knows my entire hand now, so this is a very weak opening. It's literally just 2 interruptions versus 5 cards my opponent has, so we'll see if it gets us there. And our opponent activates Divine Temple with Snake Eyes, which obviously I'm not negating that. And then they're gonna get Snake Eye Diabellstar, and then summon Diabellstar Black Witch, and then get the Deception. And they're gonna activate Deception. I don't negate that. They use Deception, and then I was considering, depending on what they popped, I was considering using my Unsolvable Exodia to negate the Deception, but they sent the Oak because they were being really greedy. So what they were trying to, you know, get the Oak engrave, and then Diabellstar place the Oak to special summon the Diabellstar, and then so on and so forth. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I might as well Exhaust Fires of Rage at this point and just to get rid of everything. They decided to pop from hand, so I get to get rid of an extra card, which is pretty nice. Then they go Fable Lure, which unfortunately, this is the annoying part about the Fiendsmith engine. So this is the one annoying part about this format for Exodia. So Engraver can equip, Requiem can equip the Engraver, and Engraver can send Requiem to send the Exodia. So there you go. The Fiendsmith decks have an easy out to the unstoppable, quote unquote, unstoppable Exodia, and then they get to reset their Deception. Because why wouldn't Deception get to reset for free every turn? You know, why wouldn't it? The card wasn't good enough already. But yeah, now it's up to my turn. I hard drew an Ash. Thankfully, I have the second Ankh in hand, so the reveal again my 2 pieces of Exodia in hand and my 3 in deck, and then get another Exodia, enter battle phase. I know they don't have anything, so at least I get to do 4,400 damage. So like it's nice damage. And end phase, I get to set the second Exod. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. They have the Engraver engrave, which is kind of annoying, and annoying to say as well. But I have the Ash Blossom, and they have 2 unknowns. So they're gonna special summon Cashier Unicorn, which is like this is like a ridiculous top deck, by the way. Cashier Unicorn. Cashier cards tend not to be great into the combo decks going second, but against, you know, these slower mid-range decks like Exodia, then they do a bit more work. So yeah, they're gonna activate Deception. They're gonna sack the Unicorn because they get the bird for free. But I'm gonna Ash this because I don't know what else they're in their hand. I could be some unknown. It could be a talent, and if they have talents, I lose on the spot. So I have to be conservative with my spell Trap Negate. They go Cashier Unicorn and then normal summon Bell. At first I was like, this guy's bluffing me, right? There's no way you have room for Baron in your deck, even though you normal summon Bell, which is a level 3 tuner plus a level 7 Unicorn. I'm like no, I'm not exoting this. Okay, you go ahead. So they go into SP Little Knight because they also don't have room for Almirage, which, you know, they shouldn't have room for Almirage or Baron. So yeah, they have an SP Little Knight. Unfortunately, this SP Little Knight is really annoying, as you'll see in a little bit. So they're gonna special summon Engraver. And then, at this point, I just Exod, because I know their Engraver is going to send my Unstoppable Exodia anyways. So, unfortunately, the SP Little Knight can dodge it, and then banish my Exodia Incarnate, which is really annoying because it resets its attack. So, yeah, the Deception resets itself, and here, keep in mind, Exod has a second effect, where you can add a Forbidden One monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So, I don't want to top deck into more pieces, right? So, I just used the Exod's Engrave effect to add the head of Exodia, okay? And then they're gonna reset the Deception again. Why does Deception reset it? And of course, the Unstoppable Exodia comes back with 0 attack, and this is the annoying part. So it goes to my phase, my turn standby phase, mandatory effect, mandatory. Because it's mandatory, they get to SP away my Unstoppable Exodia. So at this point, if I top deck any Millennium monster, I would have won the game on the spot. Straight up, I had like 17 outs to this, plus Ankh. So like literally, I drew any of those 17 cards, I won the game. Unfortunately, I drew a Retaliating Sea, which is honestly, it's not bad at all. It's actually very good in this matchup because, well, you'll see they're gonna summon back the Engraver. If I was gonna draw a non-engine, this was the best non-engine I could have possibly drawn. So they're gonna go into Engraver and then Engraver into Requiem, and then Requiem summon out another Engraver, and then equip the Requiem to Engraver to out the Ensemble Exodia. So yeah, now they activate Deception, and here they use Deception, sack their Engraver, add the Hallowed Azamina, and this is why this card is so good. So activate Hallowed Azamina and Chain Retaliating Sea. Not only do I live, guaranteed, I stopped their entire play, and now, finally, they lose access to their fucking Deception that's been resetting itself every fucking turn. It's annoying the shit out of me, but it's gone now, banished forever, thanks to Retaliating Sea. And they enter battle phase, and I say, thank you for letting me thin my deck out by 1, let me add that maxi to my hand. And just in case you wanted to play next turn, let me draw some cards. And so here, okay. I was thinking, if I was thinking, you know, if I top deck a Millennium card, I win on the spot. But you know what would be really funny? And this is why I didn't use my Exotic Graveyard yet. Because what if I top deck another piece of Exodia? And as you saw in the intro, I top decked the 4th piece of Exodia. So I got 2 legs, an arm, the left arm, the right arm, and the Exodia Forbidden one. So now I'm like, I hope my opponent's last card is an Ash, and I'm gonna use Exod to add the final piece of Exodia to hand. And my opponent, probably my opponent was not pleased with this. At the same time, you know, how upset can you really be about losing to Exodia against an Exodia deck? Even though this is the one Exodia deck, this is the only Exodia deck whose win condition is not resolving Exodia, is not obliterating the opponent. But somehow I ended up doing just that anyways, because I don't know. I guess my opponent was fucking Weevil Underwood in like a different life. Okay, so this is the most 50-50 matchup in the entire game, and it's Exodia versus Labrynth. So yeah, Labrynth. Why is it 50-50? It's so coin flip reliant, okay? If I go first, I win 90% of the time because I set up a Spell and Trap Negate and a full board wipe. So what is Labrynth gonna do to not auto lose to a full board wipe that I can just fire off in the end phase, on top of having a Spell and Trap Negate to insulate against the one Spell and Trap they get to use for free off of, like, say, an Arius or a Crew Clock, right? So yeah, you usually win going first with Exodia, but going second, if Labrynth go first, they have this card called wait for it. They have this card called Dimension Barrier, and in case you didn't know, this Exodia is a fusion monster, so it's really hard to execute your win condition under the barrier. So yeah, we're gonna see the other side of this matchup now. Where the Labrynth opponent goes first, and they summon Lovely Lady, and check out Insult to Injury. They hit the Forbidden one. Okay, so not only do they have a D barrier set, but they also hit my right leg, which means that I literally cannot resolve Ankh right now because I cannot reveal from the graveyard. So I'm like doubly not able to summon Exodia, which is the win condition of my deck. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Okay, so how the fuck do I pull this out? Well, let's just say it involves my opponent being a kind of patient, we'll say, to a bit of a fault. So I'm gonna activate Wedju Tempo. At this point, they should realize that I literally cannot do anything because my right leg is gone. I'm like I'm legless right now. So what am I supposed to do? I can't even summon Exodia. So I figured they're just gonna let everything go. So I'm special Shield and Millennium. They let that go. I normal summon Retaliating Sea, and I hit the one that I don't know. Okay, so there's no point hitting the D barrier, like that's. The D-Beard frankly does nothing for them because it's not like I can even summon Exodia anyways. So I hit the middle one, the unknown, because the other one is big welcome. So yeah, chain block, not that this matters. I just add another maxi, and then I hit the middle one, and it's the room mechanic, which is thank God. So at least I have so here's my plan. Special Sang-Engine, add Golem, special Golem, active Golem, special Golem, reveal Ankh, and they don't fire anything off. Okay, if they had fired off their big welcome right here, I lost the game on the spot, easy. But remember when I sent the deck profile? Okay, at the Winter Temple. Activate D-Fisher, still nothing. White Woman jump scare, and this completely wins the game for me. Who needs Exodia when you have the power of White Women? So because I activate D-Fisher, their Lady Labrynth is gone. They don't get a free trap for the Lady Labrynth anymore because it's they don't got the Lady Labrynth anymore, and I negate their Lovely Labrynth. And here they should have changed. They should have changed their Big Welcome before I negated this, because if Lovely Labrynth was not negated and they changed the Big Welcome, I couldn't negate the Big Welcome with Underworld Goddess. Unfortunately for them, they didn't know this, so now they're going to activate Big Welcome, and I'm going to negate it, because Big Welcome can technically special summon from the graveyard. It is a card that the White Woman can negate. So my White Woman beats over their Dark Lady, and now like, wow, they lost their two ladies to the D-Fisher and to my White Woman. So, you know, if that ain't the I'm not gonna say anything. And then they're gonna Fiendsmith Tract, which is really bad because I have D-Fisher on the field, and they're gonna banish their Arias, normal summon Fabler, and get Yugiboomer, and then get Floodgate out of the game. So yeah, this I don't know. Was that deserved? Did my opponent deserve to get Floodgated twice? Considering they set D-Baiter and they were gonna, I don't know if they fucking hit the leg out of my hand, and they misplayed. I guess. So here's a game where we're going second against Snake Eyes, Fiendsmith, Azamina. And normally when they open a hand like this, they open Cashier Unicorn, which adds Birth, play into Droll, but doesn't matter because I didn't have Droll, and then they have Wanted. So normally, Wanted plus Cashier Unicorn is like an FTK if you don't have Maxi or Droll, because no hand trap is stopping this deck. This opening. Except, you see this card in our hand, this boy, this is why people play this card, baby. Go check out my other video to see why, but I'm sure you can already see why we play this, because this summon back the Cashier Unicorn, then activate Howled Azamina, and we Retaliating Sea, baby, and then yeah, everything goes bye-bye. They get no fusion summon, no Azamina. They try to draw a card and then draw nothing. So yeah, my this Retaliating Sea. Opponent opens Unicorn plus Witch plus Unicorn plus Wanted, gets stopped by one hand trap. That's why this card's kind of good against this deck. So now we have a chance. We have a chance to win going second, and I'm gonna use shields, and they're going to banish another thing. Notice they didn't banish Exodia. If they banished Exodias, they probably would have won this game, because then I would only have one Exodia left. But because I have three. The fact that I have three in my extra deck, this incentivizes my opponent from even going for Exodia at all. Despite, you know, me probably need multiple Exodia to close this game out in a grind game. But they just go after random shit that I don't care about, like SP and Typhon. Which, why did you go after Typhon? You didn't summon from the extra deck one time. Why are you afraid of Typhon? What? Okay, never. Anyways, Millennium Ankh, special shield, add another Ankh. Now they don't have two Ankh, and then we go into Nightmare Phoenix. I'm gonna pitch one of the Ankhs because I have two of them, and then Retaliating Sea is gonna search Maxi, baby, and we get Imperm. So that better be a damn good set right there for you to use Imperm on it to save it. But yeah, it goes to my turn, and it is my turn. But now I'm gonna use Ankh, and Ankh reveal the 4 pieces in deck in one hand, and then special the Unstoppable Exodia, and then. Unless they have Valor, which Valor would be kind of nasty, but their one spell trap card now gets checked by Unstoppable Exodia, and then they can use Birth, which I don't care about. In case you're wondering why I didn't use Heart of Blue Eyes, it's because I wanted them to use Birth first. So they use Birth, get rid of 3 irrelevant cards in the graveyard. I don't care, and then they're gonna Valor my Unstoppable Exodia. So unfortunately, the Valor kind of blows. I'm not gonna lie. If they didn't have the Valor, they would have lost. They would have straight up lost. I would have set Exodia. I would have beat over their stuff. But instead I add another Ankh, and this is why I use Heart of Blue Eye. So after they use Birth, now I use Heart of Blue Eye. So now it's in the grave as an interruption, and now they didn't after they already used the Birth Banish. But we have a Floodgate, so you know maybe this Floodgate will get us there. Admittedly, this Floodgate is not fantastic because they have a Spellcaster and a Psychic, and they're playing Snake Eye, so they have Fiends and Pyro monsters still available. So this right now, there can be only one kind of doo-doo right now. But yeah, they're gonna normal summon Lurie, and this is the Lurie was actually kind of clutch because now that they normal summon Lurie, well, first of all we're gonna max E them, and now there can be only one. So now they can't go Lurie into Fiendsmith combo. So at least we solved that. They're gonna have to go to Link Rebuild, and Link Rebuild going this route plays into Maxi. The Maxi that I searched all through Retaliating Sea last round. That's also why Retaliating Sea is good, because not only did it stop the return, it searched Maxi for the follow-up. So that even when the game didn't end, we have access to Maxi. And now they're gonna banish my Exodia, which I don't know why they banished the Exodia over there can be only one, and then knowing that they have a planet Rage Soft in hand. So they use Rage Soft to add Defender, but they can't special Defender because of there can be only one on the field. But yeah, and alright, cool. They couldn't even normal summon the Defender. Like I really don't know why did they went over the Exodia. Like literally they could have banished the there can be only one with the SP, normal summon the Defender so that I wouldn't get a draw, attack over and banish my Exodia anyway. So that way they get rid of both the Exodia and the there can be only one instead of just the Exodia. So that didn't really make sense to me. At the same time, it doesn't matter because I have an Ankh in hand, so I can just yeah. By the way, I in case you're wondering, I can't use Sangagent or Shield of Millennium yet first because two of my Exodias are banished already. Like one got banished off the SP and then the other got banished off the Unicorn. If I were to use either of these from hand, I would have lose the last assault of Exodia. So again, if my opponent just went after Exodia at the first place with Unicorn, which is what you should always do against this deck, then I would have lost. But because they didn't, I have one Exodia to spare in my extra deck, and this is why you need to run 3. Specifically for this son of a bitch right here, this fucking Unicorn. So yeah, now I enter battle phase, and now I can attack over the SP, do 6200, have an 8k Ensemble Exodia, and then Exodia I can set the Exod, and now because they're under there can be only one, they can't even summon the Defender that they have in hand. So like yeah, it's kind of over for them because they never added that there can be only one. Yeah, granted they probably weren't going to win anyways because I have I have the Exod anyway, so I could clear their board. I would have just attacked over the Defender instead of the SB, and then set the Exod anyways, and then their turn I would have nuked everything still, and I still had an Ash in hand, so we were still favored. But you know, it could have been they definitely had chances to win, but they experience against people aren't as experienced playing against Exodia optimally as they are against other decks. So here's another matchup that's kind of 50-50. But it's more 50-50 depending on, like, not who goes first, because obviously you'll see why that doesn't matter. But it depends on who draws better. And here I open Shifter. So, yeah, because I open Shifter, let's see, we're gonna get the Millennium Ankh, and then, well, Shield get Ankh, and then Golem Reveal Shield, special itself. Get Wedge Temple, link into Silicate Rabbit. Don't know why I did this because I'm under Shifter, so technically this Agron statue can't do anything, so I don't know why I really did that. But yeah, in case you're wondering why you go Silicate Rabbit, then why you go Millennium Monk immediately after Silicate Rabbit, this line of play is because this is 4 summons. So like you summon 2 monsters, the 2 monsters go into Silicate to set the Azure, which is the 3rd summon, and then the Millennium Monk is the 4th summon. So that way you play under Nibiru the entire time. There's no need to play into Nibiru. This deck should not play into Nibiru under any circumstance unless you're going second or trying to break a board. Like, never play into Nibiru. Like, I see people summon 5 times just because they have a random extra Millennium monster in hand and just leave it on the field for no reason. Don't do that. Just do your 4 summons and you know, be like, move on with your life. That it's fine. Especially since my opponent's under Shifter now, and yeah, my opponent's playing Tenpai, so yeah, there's... I'm gonna be frank with you, Tenpai cannot OTK under Shifter against this board, not under any circumstance. In fact, when they activate Sangan something, I'm just gonna use Exod, and then not even worry about the Sangan something, and then they're gonna use Sangan Kaiman, and then negate the Sangan Kaiman, and then like... Yeah, cool. And face another Exod, and this game is pretty much over. It's just a formality at this point. I just need to find a way to do 8k damage. That's the only hard part, so I'm gonna do Wedgie Tempo and they're gonna Ogre. So my shifter actually turned off their Ogre turn 1, which is also like pretty sweet. Also why D-Fisher was better, because if I had drawn a D-Fisher, like would have turned off their Ogre permanently. Enter battle phase and they're gonna flip it and drop it. They're just losing all of their cards. Like, nice non-engine by the way. Like bro had like 3 hand traps, 2 hand traps to the droplet. Did absolutely fucking nothing. Did fuck all to me. They just lost. They just went down to 1 card, and then like I still have Azure Statue plus Exod plus the Exodia Negate plus 2 hand traps. Like there's no way they're winning from this point. They're just trying to stay alive. They normal summon Chundra, and the Chundra gets popped. Not that that matters anyways. But yeah, go to my turn, and I take another 1000. Activate Wedgie Tempo, set, and then activate. Heart of Blue Eyes gets ashed, so now it's like, it's a bit awkward because they got 6200. So if I summon Sanguine right now, I'm gonna lose 2k on my Exodia, so 2k plus 2k plus wait, that's game anyways. 2750 plus 18 plus 2k. That's game. Okay, I just can't do math. Instead, I chose to be okay. In that case, this was like entirely, completely, 100% unnecessary and toxic. Okay, I'm being super toxic here. I just added the head off of Exod to attack for game because this was also a game, but this was just unnecessarily normal selling the Exodia head, unnecessarily BM for no reason. Man, this deck has changed me, bro. Wow, that was. I was gonna say, like, I remember I thought I needed to get the head to attack for game because I thought that was the only way to get the lethal. No, I'm just fucking stupid and BMing my opponent for no reason. Yeah, that's wow. That was. Alright, so here we open a very strong hand. We have 3 non-engine plus Wedgie Tempo and Golem. The unfortunate part is, let's watch what happens. So I activated Wedgie Tempo and it gets ogred. And in case you're wondering, this is completely disastrous. Now I have no way to get to Ankh this turn. It's just unfortunate. I activate Golem just cause, and then I use Golem as special summon itself, and then I add the Wedgie Tempo for follow up, and then I activate the Wedgie Tempo, and then I set the Super Poly. So honestly, yeah, that was terrible. The other option was to keep the Super Poly in hand so that my Fool Loss was live, but I don't like relying on the Fool Loss resolving. Like, that doesn't seem great, so I just added Wedgie Tempo and then it placed Wedgie Tempo, and then hopefully have enough for follow up. That way, this makes it, at least if they kill my Golem with the Wedgie Tempo on the field, I get the Golem back as follow up, and then I do have the Super Poly to discard the Fool Loss, and I have the Ash. That's best I can muster because that was a very devastating ogre. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, again, wish I had D-Fisher in hand to prevent the ogre, but yeah, they're going to Fiendsmith, pitch the Engraver, and I don't Ash this just because, like, they have 5 cards in hand. They're gonna special Fender, and here I have, this is so bad, I have to Super Poly the Fender because if not, they're just gonna enter battle phase, banish my Wedgie Tempo and attack over my Golem, and then I lose all follow up, and then it's so bad. Like, even if I survive, which I would because they use the battle phase, I don't have any follow up. Like, it's so terrible. So like, I have to use the fucking Super Poly right now on the Fender, so at least it also prevents them from searching tier cache. And here I use Ash on the Fiendsmith track, and I just pray that they haven't even normal summoned. I pray this is enough to actually stop it. And thank fucking god, like, they didn't have an absolutely buzzed hand. We had our 2 non-engine was able to stop their Fender and their track. And then we top deck a Adrian statue, which is again, I so many times if I top deck one of my 16 remaining Millennium cards, I would have won on the spot. But unfortunately, we're not that skilled. So instead, I just have an Azure statue, and my opponent sets a monster. And this is one of the advantages of playing Exodia, because again, they set Crows. Why? Because Crow is completely dog shit against this deck. My opponent is gonna have so many hand traps that are just so dog water against us. Like, Ogre was kind of good, not gonna lie, against the Wedgie Temple, but that's the only target. Again, also, it's not just a Millennium card. If I drew any monster, if I drew a hand trap, I could place it in Wedgie Temple, and then I could get my Millennium engine, and that would be game 2. But no, I just had to draw 2 back row 2 turns in a row, including a dead Exod. So Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Now they top deck a unicorn. Thankfully, I top decked the Azure statue like last turn, so that at least they set another monster, probably another dead hand trap that against this deck, and I finally top deck into Maxi, place Sangengin, special Sangengin, add Heart of Blue Eyes, activate Heart of Blue Eyes, and then add Ankh, and then use Ankh, reveal 5 pieces, and then special the Millennium Exodia, and then enter battle phase, and here to be safe, I activate Exod. That way, because I'm at 4k, I actually couldn't, it was not game where I just attacked over their monster, their dead crow, so instead, I have to connect with both these monsters. So, in order to do so, we have to use Exod early, and it's fine because in the end phase, I just sent another Exod anyways. If for some miraculous reason they have, like, I don't know, a Skittercock Clash or something that lived, but yeah, that was certainly a game that happened. So I feel like this game was the beginning of my Joker arc. Playing this deck has changed me for the worse. So we're gonna activate Heart of Blue Eyes. That's the only play we have in this hand. They're gonna draw. Nice draw, by the way. Nice draw. That certainly wasn't just a hand loop for one. But yeah, we're going to Exodia and summon the Exodia and set 2, and then set another Exod. Unfortunately, we drew Exod, so like it's kind of a minus here because we have 2 Exods face down. Our opponent doesn't know that, so maybe we can use that to our advantage. But yeah, well, I have a Maxi, and the Maxi resolves, and now they're gonna special Unicorn, and yeah, they're forced to play into this Maxi. Not ideal for them. We're gonna go Engraver, which Engraver is a pretty good card because Engraver does out the Exodia. It forces out the Exod because they can just go Requiem, again, Requiem equipped to the Engraver, target the Ensemble. So yeah, unfortunately for them, this is gonna, like, I drew a shit ton of cards off this. Like, at this point, it's already kind of too late because they gave me, I have an entire new hand, and I still have the Exodia spell negate up. I don't even negate the Spur because, like, honestly, what am I afraid of from a Cashier Unicorn, right? And they're gonna summon back the Engraver, and it's whatever. They're gonna link into Sequence and then Sequence. This is just like Maxi, man. Maxi is such a balanced Yu-Gi-Oh card, bro. This card is so great. I'm glad we still have 2 of this in the game. Yeah, here comes the Lacrima. The Lacrima is gonna summon back the Engraver, and here I don't actually super poly here. So, fun fact, I know they're going. This very obvious they're going for Beatrice right now. They would not do all these summons just to end on a Caesar. So this, making a Caesar in this scenario doesn't make sense. Like, I guess if they go for hard make Evil Sword Lars, like they got me, they caught me. They caught me slacking. But provided they go in the Beatrice, you should hold your super poly, because Beatrice you can super poly on summon and then they don't even get a chance to send anything with Beatrice. Even though it's a quick effect, they can't respond to super poly because this card is again, more fair and balanced cards for playing in our deck. So because of that, we get to eat the Beatrice without them getting effect. So we get to destroy it, we basically get rid of an extra body for free off the Super Poly. And they're going to normal summon the Trick Clown. Now, like I said, they're going to go into Beatrice, and then, of course, on summon the Beatrice, you get Super Poly, and then the boom, you get rid of those 2. And they just, yeah, their entire board's gone, and we go into Mud Dragon. And our opponent's going to burn us for 1200 so that my Exodia gets smaller, and then they're going to counter with their own Super Poly. Unfortunately for them, Dragostapelia is a level 8 monster, so the Heart of Blue Eyes Engraved just sends out to the grave, and after giving us another draw, and now it's over. And you're probably wondering why I'm showing this replay, because this was just resolving Maxi on our opponent, and then our opponent not having enough to it. So here, we're going to Sangengin, reveal the Ankh, and then special, add another Heart of Blue Eyes, and then Wedju Temple, place the Golem, get the shield, summon out the Golem, and then activate Millennium Ankh, and reveal 3 Exodia pieces in my hand, and special Exodia, and here we enter battle phase, and I didn't use its effect. I swear this was not intentional. I did not mean to attack Exodia into the Trick Clown and not use the effect, but subconsciously there must have been something. This deck was taking over me. The floodgates were taking over me. I just became incredibly toxic in this scenario, because I'm sure to my opponent, me just crashing my Exodia in the Trick Clown looks like the most ridiculous BM that you've ever seen in your life. And if I was playing League, and if this company handling this game was Riot instead of Konami, I probably would have been, my account would probably have been suspended or banned after this game, just for being this toxic to my opponent. But yeah, I didn't mean to do it. I right-clicked off the effect, but you know, yeah, my bad. So instead of killing my opponent that turn, I instead activate 2 fishers instead of there can be only one. So instead, I just played 3 floodgates on the field instead, which, you know, after what I just did, after keeping my opponent alive and then playing 3 floodgates, that's incredibly toxic. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? I would not blame my opponent for reporting me after this game. I would report myself too if I was in my opponent's position. But I gave my opponent a chance. They top deck Fenrir, which is honestly probably the best card in the deck. They could top decks, and then they add the tier cache. Unfortunately, the tier cache does not beat the second floodgate, which is there can be only one. Honestly, I don't even know why I flipped this up, because the D Fisher already checks the tier cache because they can't mill anything, so they're gonna summon back the Engraver, and then they're going to enter battle phase, attack over the guard, and then banish the there can be only one, which doesn't do anything, and then they're gonna Castira Birth, bring back the Unicorn, and then end phase I'm gonna Exod. I had a good Exodia piece, so now I'm like, this is even more BM, because at this point I don't even want to attack for game. Right now I have 4 Exodia pieces in hand, and I have an Exod on field, which is gonna search the 5th piece of Exodia. So I'm like, I might as well embrace the BM and just try to win off Exodia at this point, because it's already too late. I can't take back the toxicity that I just displayed on my opponent. So yeah, new win con is trying to Exodia my opponent. So I'm gonna use Millennium or Shield of Millennium. I need to special summon this because I need to clear my spell and trap zones, and then we're gonna special summon Tearlaments Kashira, and then we're gonna use Tearlaments Kashira to mill me, and they're also gonna trigger Birth, which is gonna banish a bunch of cards I don't care about in the grave. So yeah, banish 3, and then tier cache fucking mills my last piece of Exodia. Which is like, honestly, that's deserved. I don't deserve to be in my opponent this hard. Okay, I was the major toxic player in this game. I don't deserve to win off Exodia. I do not deserve to obliterate my opponent. Okay, I'm not worried. A duelist of my nature does not deserve to use Exodia against my opponent. So now I'm gonna place Shield of the Millennium, and then they're gonna banish. Cashier Unicorn is gonna banish the last Exodia from my extra deck, so now I'm out of Exodias, which is very funny, and my Heart of Blue Eyes goes. Well, we're gonna go into Doom Dragon, and Doom Dragon is gonna place the. Unfortunately, as like with most villain stories, we don't get punished because I resolved Max C, so it literally doesn't matter. You can play like a literal monkey, like I did, and still come out on top. So yeah, I'm gonna normal summon the head because my Exodia pieces are useless now. Discard the right arm because my Exodia pieces are useless now. Place the left leg. Reveal that I had 3 Exodia pieces in hand because yeah, and then we enter battle phase and attack the game. So yeah, this is what has this deck done to me? This not good, man. I gotta switch off this deck, bro. I don't know if I can handle any more of this. So unfortunately, my opponent caught a stray in this duel. I put in Retaliating Sea, you know, for specifically Azamina decks and decks playing Azamina cards, but my opponent is playing Melodious, and First Movement Soul, unfortunately, is a spell card that special summons a monster. So yeah, really sorry about this. Nothing personal. I feel, honestly, after playing this deck for so long, like I feel like I need to go take a shower. Every time I finish a session playing Exodia, I need to like, I feel dirty. Like this is not okay. This is not right. Like this is fucked up. Okay, why the Melodious player does not deserve getting Retaliating Seed in this meta. I'm really sorry, but yeah. And then even worse is that this Arya just gets outed by Super Poly. Yeah. It's Yep, this is I'm so sorry. This is I even misplayed. Like I even gave my opponent a chance to win because right now this is game on board. All I gotta do is shift this Retaliating Seed to attack mode, and it's game because Garua doubles battle damage. But I didn't. I just activated Ankh anyways, and shuffled my Retaliating Seed back so that my opponent may have a chance. You know, if they had a Veiler, they might have been able to live. Well, they didn't have a Veiler, so they lost anyways. But yeah. And you either die a hero or you see yourself live long enough to become a villain. And I'm still alive, so I guess we know how that went. So yeah, in conclusion, I guess this is how you do Nostalgia Legacy support. This is probably one of the strongest decks from DM now because of the Millennium support, and this deck is honestly so easy. A 5-year-old can do it, or a 35-year-old that has not touched the game in 20 years and barely knows any of the rules, but they can still play this and they can still grasp this deck after like one duel. Yeah, this deck is simple and it's super strong, and this is something that you probably should consider for the next Duelist Cup, at least to prepare for it, because this is definitely don't knock this off. Like, don't brush this aside as if it was just some random event deck that Konami was trying to push. No, this deck is actually super real. It's arguably a top 3 deck in Master Duel. I can't believe I'm fucking saying that about Millennium and Exodia, but I played this deck. I can't deny this deck's effectiveness anymore. This deck is real. I'm a believer.